How much protein do you really need? This is something I get asked a lot. Obviously, protein being a bit of a buzzword now, basically just add the word protein to anything and then you can sell it quite easily. But how much protein do you really need? Yes, it is the building blocks of our muscle and plays a huge role in our overall health due to its building abilities. But do you really need as much as what you think? No. For the majority of people who have a well-balanced diet, you are most likely getting enough protein. It could probably help to add some more protein, but at the same time, you do not need to overcomplicate this. I think because of the amount that is spoken about, people tend to go crazy with it and have way too much protein when it's unnecessary. It's not going to actually make or break your ability to progress unless you are having an extremely low amount of protein. So why is it so often spoke about? Mostly because it makes products extremely easy to sell and because it's very cheap. So there's a big profit to be made. But we're going to put that to one side for this video and focus on the actual point of this video. What is protein and how much do you need? It's made up of 20 amino acids, some being essential, meaning you can only get them from your diet. Basically, these can't be synthesized or produced by your body. You also have your non-essential amino acids, which are also very important, but your body can produce them. There are 9 essential amino acids and 11 non-essential amino acids that make up protein. I don't want to get into too much detail with this, but this is just to give you an insight to why it is important to consume protein within your diet. So what are the benefits of protein? Not only is protein essential for building muscle, it also does play a key part in your recovery process, whether that be from training or just general day-to-day life, breakdown of muscle tissue through any sort of activity. But also having enough protein in your diet will help massively improve your body composition. So if that is of course your goal, there is an order of importance. So obviously the calories. So when it comes to reducing body fat without being in a calorie deficit, this is not possible. Then we go protein and then the other macronutrients. The reason for this is there are plenty of studies that show that if you had 2 individuals that had the same calorie input and the calorie output, the individual with a higher protein diet will not just reduce it more in body fat, but also have the potential of maintaining or increasing more lean mass. And this obviously shows how powerful this macronutrient can be and also why it's marketed so frequently due to things like this being out there and the importance of this macronutrient. Now, I'm not going to get into the why because I feel like there's many variables to this, but just understand it can massively help your body composition and it is a macronutrient you should most definitely consider, but not overcomplicate. It is also very satiating. So one thing I have noticed is within clients, when we start to increase their protein intake, if they are beginners, they do tend to become less hungry throughout the day. This could be due to the fact that they are eating more frequently and have more consistent meals, but ultimately increasing their protein does have a benefit. So even though they do tend to be eating less calories, because obviously they are in a calorie deficit, so they start to lose weight, this could also be down to like food types and stuff like that, because this of course plays a role as well. So how much protein do you actually need? When it comes to this, I do tend to have a pretty straightforward process. There are 2 options that I take depending on the client or the person that I am giving advice to. Firstly, 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of body weight. So the reason why I select this is just because it is a very easy way for you to gain an understanding of how much protein is needed rather than trying to convert all different metrics. If you just focus on, of course, your calorie intake, then 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and then the rest of the calories will be fats or carbohydrates dependent on your current lifestyle. Now, I do have a rule with this. Obviously, there are many clients that I've had that have come to me that have been over 200 pounds body weight. With this, I do actually put a cap at it at 200 grams due to the fact that there's not really any point of going over that. It's excessive amounts probably from the beginning anyway, but it is a good way for clients to get used to incorporating a lot of protein into their diets. They do start to understand foods a little bit better, and also overeating on protein can be quite difficult. So giving them that sort of goal means that they start to understand what's in food, and then from there they can obviously develop the habits and routines that are important to maintain the lifestyle and also get their results. And like I say, it does depend on the client. The other approach I use is 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of lean body mass. Now, this can obviously be a little bit difficult to get exactly, but rather than overcomplicating it, just literally find out your body fat percentage. So say as an example, just to make it easy, you weigh 200 pounds and you are 10% body fat, meaning that 10% of your body weight is body fat. So we then have 20 pounds worth of body fat, meaning that you have 180 grams of lean mass to an extent, we will then use that number. So your protein goal will be 180 grams. Now, obviously, some clients will be at 200 pounds at potentially 20% body fat. So then obviously this means that the protein intake will be around 160 grams. And this is still enough protein for that person. That individual will still get great results on that protein intake due to the fact that they don't actually have that much muscle, or lean body weight, which means that the protein that they're getting will be enough to facilitate what is necessary for them to recover, for their general health, and all of these other factors that protein is actually utilized for. It's not going to actually benefit the body fat itself. So therefore, that weight that they're carrying from body fat doesn't need protein. So like I say, these two approaches are the two approaches that I tend to use with clients, depending on the client who comes to me. Obviously, if I've got a client who's experienced going over their previous diet, things like that, I'm able to then manipulate things from there. Every individual is different, so I don't always start them off of this basic approach. But these two variables are something that I've used probably with 80% of my clients, and they all seem to work. So take that into consideration. Obviously, utilize this. So don't overcomplicate your diet. Get your calorie intake, work out your protein intake using maybe one of the approaches I've just given you. Then use the rest of the calories on carbohydrates or fats, depending on your diet. Obviously, if you have a high activity lifestyle, it might be ideal to use more carbohydrates and lower fat. And if you have a low activity lifestyle, it might benefit you to have a slightly higher in fat diet and lower carbohydrates. This is due to energy perspective only. This isn't a body composition thing. It may contribute to it, but ultimately calories are the key, and then protein after. So how you manipulate these other two doesn't really matter too much, but when it comes to optimizing energy, stuff like that throughout the day, these two variables I've noticed within other clients have worked quite well. Those who work in office space, slightly higher fat, lower carb. Those that have on the go, high activity jobs, higher carb, lower fat. Realistically, if you're looking at just improving your body composition, meaning reducing as much body fat as possible whilst maintaining as much muscle as possible, just focusing on your calories and then your protein and then the other macronutrients will be the ideal scenario for you achieving the results you want with less confusion. So then what you do is then as you start to reduce your calories, you can then manipulate these macronutrients. Ideally, I would tend to, as I reduce calories, adjust carbohydrates or fats, but depending on where the client's at and where they're getting to, there are many occasions that I have reduced protein because it's not as necessary as their body weight comes down. And also due to the fact that it doesn't really convert very well into energy in the sense of making us feel energized. Having too much protein without enough carbohydrates or fats can obviously impact your daily activity, your daily output, your daily energy levels, which also contribute to the likelihood of you maintaining or achieving your results. If you go and check out my other video about nutrition, within this I discuss other variables around nutrition and how you could potentially set it up to suit your day-to-day life. I hope this helps. I hope I haven't overcomplicated things. Very straightforward process. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe. Obviously, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below.